Okay, let me explain what my video about the archaeology of the Doctrine and Covenants is doing. It's called a reductio absurdum. We have numerous anti-Mormon critics against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who use archaeology with some assumptions that I am reducing to absurdity. I am using the critics' arguments that they use with archaeology and the assumptions to establish the historicity, the historical reality, the doctrinal correctness of what we have in the Bible. They say archaeology because we have the basic geography, we know where some of the cities are, we know where some of the roads are, we know where some of the mountains are, we know where some of the rivers are. This gives us confidence that what the Bible is teaching is true and accurate history and doctrine and so on and so forth. They say archaeology proves the Bible to be true. Now, it is irrelevant the time frame. When I apply archaeology to the Doctrine and Covenants with the assumptions that the critics have about what archaeology can and cannot do, I am using a consistent methodology. I don't care if the Doctrine and Covenants is newer in time than the Bible. This is not an apples to oranges comparison. This is using the critics' assumptions of archaeology to any of the scriptures. What I'm hoping to do, and I know it's too much to ask of the critics, but for the rest of you who really do understand archaeology or wish to, what I'm hoping to do is show you the ridiculous nature of the assumptions about archaeology. If knowing where Jerusalem is, if we have thousands of copies of biblical manuscripts, that really does show us that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and the letters of Paul and Peter, and the revelation of John and the Apocalypse, the book of Jude, so on and so forth. This shows that what they taught is accurate and true and real. Their experiences really happened. Paul really did have his vision on the road of Damascus because we have the manuscript copies. Not one original biblical manuscript exists today. Oh, we have some fragments of the Gospel of John and so on and so forth that date to just maybe even 10 or 15 years after John, but we don't have any originals. That was my intent of showing that we have absolutely all of the originals of the Book of Commandments, and we've published it to the world. It's in Barnes & Noble, Deseret Book, Beehive Book, so on and so forth. It's a really stupid way for we Mormons to hide our history. Is we publish it to the world. You know. The stupidity of some arguments is utterly breathtaking to me. And this archaeological argument is the stupidest I have ever heard. And I'm going to say that loud and clear. Because the reality of what archaeology can establish is completely missed by the critics. If logical consistency now with the methodology of the critics, if having Jerusalem, if knowing where the Dead Sea is, if having thousands of copies of the biblical manuscripts establishes the fact that we can pretty much rely on what the Bible says. It says what it means and means what it says. Then using that same exact methodology on the Doctrine and Covenants, we know where Harmony, Pennsylvania is. That should establish, using the same methodology, the verity of those dozens and dozens of revelations that Joseph Smith received in Harmony, Pennsylvania. We even know the exact rooms where he received the revelations. That's what some of those photos were of, is the very place where the revelations were received. We also have the original, actual penned manuscripts themselves of those revelations. So if it establishes the verity of the Bible to know where Jerusalem is, and Jericho and Nazareth and all that, and we have the manuscripts and all, then the archaeology, the artifacts that have been discovered in biblical lands, establishes the truth of the Bible. Then the artifacts of Joseph Smith's watch, the vest he wore, his cane, the spectacles he wore when he was studying and writing, the artifacts of several of the people mentioned in the Doctrine and Covenants establishes the verity and verification of those revelations also. Now this is not my belief. I am simply applying the same criteria that the anti-Mormon critics do, which I think is absolutely absurd. I am not being anti-Christ or anti-Bible when I state the clear fact that you cannot prove the existence of Jesus using archaeological artifacts. The most important person to ever grace our lowly oblate spheroid has no archaeological proof of existence. If you think I'm kidding, show me. That's my challenge. But I can absolutely prove through the archaeological artifacts now that Joseph Smith existed, that Brigham Young existed. You can't prove one Bible personality ever existed through the archaeology. We have no bones. You prove to me Adam and Eve existed, or Isaiah, or Jeremiah. Through the archaeology now. The critics say archaeology proves the Bible, so show me. That's what I'm applying to the Doctrine and Covenants. I don't care the time frame. Archaeology has been used in our day to establish modern themes. It's been used for the medieval ages, the ancient times, the New Testament, the Old Testament. Criminy, it goes back hundreds of millions of years as far as the archaeology goes. The time frame is irrelevant. The consistent use of the same assumptions that the critics are pretending archaeology proves is what I am reducing to utter absurdity with these videos. I don't believe for a moment archaeology proves the Bible true, and I can't find one archaeologist who says that either. That's my challenge to you anti-Mormon critics. Give me some names. Give me some universities. Give me some emails. I will debate the archaeologist on YouTube who pretends that archaeology proves the existence of Jesus Christ, or proves the existence of Isaiah, or proves the existence of the real Adam and Eve, or Abraham, or Noah. I don't believe they didn't exist. I'm saying using archaeology the way our anti-Mormon critics are using it, prove it to me. That's my challenge. You prove it. I will prove, using the artifacts of archaeology and history, the personalities in the Doctrine and Covenants. If having Jerusalem vindicates Jesus' life and his experiences, then having the sacred grove vindicates Joseph Smith's life and experiences that happened there. The Doctrine and Covenants archaeologically, because we know the exact spot where Joseph Smith had his first vision. We know the spot where he received the gold plates from the angel Moroni, the hill Cumorah. I've showed you pictures of that. We know the exact place, the Susquehanna River, where he was baptized and received the priesthoods. We have the exact room in the Kirtland Temple where God the Father and Jesus Christ appeared to numerous people. We have the exact room in the School of the Prophets where God the Father and Jesus Christ appeared to those brethren. Because we have the artifacts, because we have the geographical locations, because we know the rivers, the townships, the states, the very cities, does that prove all of the content of the Doctrine and Covenants true? Absolutely not. And I propose the same for the Bible. I'm armed to the teeth to destroy the anti-Mormon assumption that archaeology proves the Bible. That doesn't make me anti-Bible. It says that the assumptions of the critics are weak, stupid, and illogical.